Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Friday, the 7th of July, 2023. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, it was a tough day for the S&P ASX 200, which finished down 1.7% to 7,042 points. Fears of higher interest rates in the US and in Australia spooked investors. It was like all the bad news hit home today and people just wanted to sell. For the week, the first of the financial year, the market is down 2%. It was a pretty awful day all round, led lower by tech stocks and interest rate sensitive sectors like the real estate companies and consumer discretionary groups. All the market sub-indices dropped, as did about 90% of the top 200 companies. Share prices of some big and well-known groups fell sharply, led by Afterpay owner Block, industrial property company Goodman Group, Gold Digger Northern Star Resources, James Hardie Industries, Treasury Wine Estates, etc., etc. Some of the energy companies were probably among the better performers. Story number 2, senior public servants will be referred for civil and criminal prosecution over the unlawful Robo-debt scheme following the release of the Royal Commission report into the scheme. Robo-debt Royal Commissioner Catherine Holmes delivered a 3-volume report with more than 990 pages and 57 recommendations. There's also a sealed chapter that is not part of the bound report. It recommends referrals of individuals for civil and criminal prosecution. The Robo-debt scheme unlawfully raised $1.76 billion in alleged debts from nearly 400,000 Australians. Unlawful is the important word there. Commissioner Holmes was critical of the venality, incompetence and cowardice of former ministers responsible for the scheme. The Royal Commission found that a number of people who were pursued for debts died by suicide, and it was critical of former Prime Minister Scott Morrison, former top bureaucrat Catherine Campbell, and former ministers Alan Tudge, Stuart Robert and Christian Porter. Late today, Scott Morrison said he completely rejects the findings critical of his involvement. Among the Robo-debt Royal Commission recommendations is for an overhaul of cabinet in-confidence rules regularly used to keep information secret. Story number 3, opposition leader Peter Dutton was again talking up the merits of nuclear power, saying Australia's growing energy demands could be met cost-effectively by building small nuclear reactors on the site of ageing coal-fired power plants and using transmission systems already in place. Dutton accused federal Labor of being mesmerised by the glare of solar panels and wind turbines and failing to seriously consider the opportunities of nuclear power, including to lower household energy bills. He also wants a major boost for lucrative uranium exports and disputes climate change and Energy Minister Chris Bowen's criticism that nuclear is the most expensive form of new energy. Dutton says 50 countries are investing in nuclear, so it must have some sort of attraction. Asked to respond to the idea, Labor frontbencher Jason Clare said, no. There you go. Story number 4, new national standards and accreditation rules will be developed by the end of the year after a review led by Sydney University Vice-Chancellor Mark Scott found that universities are failing to equip teachers with the skills to manage classrooms. Scott said being a teacher is a highly complex and demanding role. The new standards will focus on teaching core content in university education courses. Scott said the education system needs to do a better job helping teachers to skill up and become resilient if they want to keep people in those roles. And story number 5, I mentioned it earlier on. It was a rough night on Wall Street with all 11 of the S&P 500's industry sectors lower, pushing the S&P 500 and tech-heavy Nasdaq down 0.8%. European markets also fell, with the Pan-European Stock 600 index down more than 2%, hitting its lowest level since March. The main reason is nervousness about future rate hikes in the US and the possibility of a recession. Labour market indicators overnight suggest that the employment market in the US remains strong. The data shows that private hiring surged last month, layoffs slowed, and filing for unemployment benefits remain relatively low. That could force the Fed to push up interest rates, and that's weighing on equities. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday, the 7th of July, 2023. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Join Michael Thompson and I tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.